ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 Verse 70. अल्पानल्पप्रपञ्चप्रलय उपरतिश्चेदिन्द्रियाणां सुखाप्तिः जीवन्मुक्तौ सुषुप्तौ त्रितयमपि समं किन्तु तत्रास्ति भेदः प्राक्संस्कारात् प्रसुप्तः पुनरपि च परावृत्तिमेति प्रबुद्धः नश्यत्संस्कारजातो न स किल पुनरावर्तते यश्च मुक्तः. A comparison, very interesting comparison between a jnani and a sleeping person. And we saw that the jnani and the sleeping person share three things in common. What are they? Prapancha pralayaha, the dissolution of worlds. Worlds are getting dissolved. What kind of worlds? Sukshma world, an internal world, a thought world of notions, ideas, fears, things that make one happy, all those things are there. And so the thought world is getting dissolved. The Sukshma world of the mind, the Ahankara, the Buddhi, getting resolved. And the Sukshma world includes Kartritvam, Bhoktritvam, the identification with the doership and enjoyership, experiencer, I am doer, I am iti. This kind of identification also gets resolved. And then the analpa prapancha, the sthula world, the gross world of all kinds of difficulties, the gross world to which one is related, with which one interacts all the time, also gets resolved. So this is true for the jnani and the ajnani. The ajnani has to go to sleep to experience this pralaya, whereas the jnani is already one with the knowledge and remains in that oneness even while awake. We saw the 69th or the 70th verse of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita last time. That which is night for the jnani is day for everybody else, for all the masses. It is as good as the day. Okay. And so, why is it night and day? Because the reality of oneself as free of all strife, pain, fear, sorrow, that to which the jnani is awake, all the people are asleep. That reality of that divisionless reality to which the jnani is awake, everybody else is asleep. And that reality of division and distractions and frenetic striving to fulfill various desires to which the whole world is awake, to that reality the jnani is asleep. So here we saw that asleep awake again metaphorically. So here similarly there are three things in common. First is the resolution of the inner world and the outer world, so to speak, the gross and the subtle worlds, for the sleeping person and the jnani. Jnani means the one who is no longer ignorant of the self. Then indriyanam uparatihi. Uparatihi means coming to a place of calmness. Uparati also means letting go. Letting go for what? Indriyas. All the sense organs are in a tranquil state because they are not suffering from a sense of overstimulation, which is what it is other without this knowledge. The sense organs are always overstimulated. Overstimulated means one keeps on wanting this, that, or the other all the time. Give me, give me, give me. And then the more one says, give me, give me, give me, there are many things out there, and to which one is constantly trying to relate. And so there is one, and then because it is not so easy to relate to things out, which are the objects, sense objects, because it is not easy, one is constantly overstimulated because you can't just look at something and appreciate it without feeling like I want it, or I don't want it, or I have to have it, or why is it in my life? So one is not the Indriya Vyapara. Vyapara means the activities of the senses in relation to the sense organs need not be so fraught, need not be so frenetic. But it turns out these activities turn out to be very laden with conflict, strife, and disappointment because apparently the jiva can't seem to just look at one thing and just say, oh, okay, this is it. This is a mountain, this is an ocean, this is a tree. One cannot just simply stop at that. Immediately, when the mind goes into overdrive about musing about one's relationship to that object. So the ahankara is involved, the mind is involved. And if it belongs to oneself, even then one doesn't say, oh, well and good, I have it. No, no, no. Then fear comes. The more the belongings, the more the longing, really. And so the fear comes. Why does the fear come? How to protect it? Because I have it and I really wanted it. Now I have the problem of protecting it. This is what it is. If one is a millionaire or a billionaire, then the what should I say, the heart attacks are more because there is so much to protect, so much to at stake. Then okay, so then you look at the sense objects, and then immediately it turns into disappointment, fear, insecurity, longing. And that constant stimulation is not good for health, is not good for the mind, it's not good for the person. And so, therefore, in sleep alone, the respite is provided, because all the sense organs retract and they just are with themselves. The cord between the sense organs and the sense objects is cut off. Number one, in sleep. And then the string between the sense objects, sorry, the sense organs and the mind and the ahankara and the buddhi is also severed. So both the cords are cut off. First, one is not perceiving anything outside of oneself or within oneself. One simply is. There is no perception happening, including the perception I am asleep. That is recognized in hindsight. The mind has withdrawn into a cocoon, into a causal state. Then there is no indriya vyapara for the sleeping person. Then the connection between what the indriyas perceive and what kinds of conclusions the mind comes to, and how the ahankara jumps in to try to correct those conclusions or to exacerbate those conclusions. I want more of this, I have a little bit of this, I want more. All this is not there because the connection between the mind, ahankara, buddhi, chittam, and the sense organs is not there. Because the sense organs themselves are not there, they are not active. So they are not reporting to the mind anything they see, anything they hear, because they are neither seeing nor hearing. So that's the second thing in common between the jnani and the sleeping person. And then the third thing is, when all these resolve, sense organs gone for the time being, sense objects gone for the time being. Analpa prapancha pralaya means the sense objects are not there to relate to, and neither is there the mind, etc., to relate to. This alpa prapancha pralaya. As a result of this, what is there? Sukhaptihi. Sukhaptihi means the gain of happiness. Here we get a very nice clue. What is the clue? Don't ever wake up. Okay, then you can be just like the Jnani. So, what is the clue here? The clue is that as long as there is, as long as there is an internal world with which one, meaning the Ahankara, is relating from the standpoint of longings, etc., as long as there is an external world to which one is relating, the chances of disappointment are many. Disappointment, conflict, strife. Is that a correct conclusion? It is a provisional conclusion that one can gain from this particular, Anvaya Vyatireka method. Anvaya Vyatireka is a methodology of invariable concomitance. So what is here? There, Sukha is there. Sukha is there when the Indriyas and the Alpa Prapancha and the Analpa Prapancha, when the gross and subtle worlds have resolved, and when the Indriyas are minding their own business and not just trying to look at the whole world and come to conclusions about it. So then there is Sukhapti. So then, if the Indriyas are alive, and if the mind is alive, and if one is awakened to this external world, it appears that Sukha is not there. It seems like there is an concomitance between the operation of the mind and the sense organs and the being alive, being awakened to the presence of the sense object. It seems that there is a connection to Sukha, happiness. And as one is going away with this conclusion, we see that the Jnani is happy while awake. There goes that theory that there should be no outside world and no inside world to relate to in order for me to be happy. No. So, the Jnani is getting the same thing that the Ajnani is getting while awake. The eyes are wide open, and we see the Jnani going about his or her day. We see the Jnani going here, going there, doing this, doing that. In fact, there is a lot of Vyapara, sense organs. Vyapara means transactions with the Jnani and the and his or her own sense organs, with the sense organs and the sense objects. Yet the Sukhapti is constant, doesn't change. So therefore, there is no causality. It appears that you don't have to be asleep in order to be happy. So then why the connection between the sleep state and the Jnani? Because the Jnani is metaphorically asleep to the sense objects and because the mind is settled. As a result of this knowledge, the mind is tranquil and no longer in a wanting state. Why is the mind any longer not in a wanting state? Because the gain of the self, the gain of Atma as oneself, means Sarvan Kaman Samashnute. The gain of the I is the gain of everything. Every single thing is already gained. Whatever you want is gained. Oh, lot of money. Well, then we have to ask, why do you want the money? So that I feel good, so that I feel secure. Security is already gained as a result of this knowledge. There's nothing more secure than you. All that is there is you. No, I want the money to enjoy a few things. It's not just artha pursuits, it's kama pursuits. Kama pursuits means, like I want to buy things, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to, spend and do things in certain ways. That is also there. Without spending, it is already there. And how do you mean without spending? Is there? See, we are in such a nice, lovely environment of the mountains without spending anything. Yeah, yeah. Free download, free. Yesterday I said we'll be in the mountains, and I kept the word. Yeah, we are in a little mountain cabin. It could be New Zealand. I think it looks very New Zealandy. Anyhow, so this is, so here you are. And so the thing is, this is a wrong connection. The connection between the fulfillment of one's desires and happiness is a very misled connection. It's a connection that has it has some kind of a, what's the word for it? Uh, Local, uh, collective, some kind of a support. Because from the laukika standpoint, laukika means local, okay, so from the people's standpoint, from the everyday people's standpoint, it appears as though that if I get my desires, then I am happy. If I don't get my desires, I'm tense and unhappy. But that's not true. Here you have a person in the jnani who is operating the sense of organs, who is constantly interacting with the sense objects, but without a sense of want. And that want is the one that has got what is called uparati. Uparati means the wants are resolved because one is happy. No matter what, one is happy. And that's the result of Vedanta Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. The person has worked hard to get rid of the stress, etc., by self knowledge. So there is no more that kind of a longing for him. And the resolution of the longing is what leads to happiness, not the resolutions of the sense objects or the sense organs or the mind. This is a very important understanding. Why? This is going to be explained in the third and fourth line. The second line we have seen Jivan Muktau Sushuptau. So in Jivan Mukti, in the abidance of oneself as free, and in that vision of no division, then, and also Sushuptau, in the state of deep sleep, Tritayam api samam. There is a similarity. All three states are identical for the Jnani and for the Jnani wannabe, because there is a resolution of the Indriyas, etc. Kintu, but however, tatrasti bhedah. There is a very big important difference. A salient difference between the jnani and the sleeping person is there. And as you can imagine, that difference, is very, very evident. What is the evident? What is evident? When the jnani wakes up, the tears start to flow. When the ajnani wakes up, the tears start to flow again. The resolution gone. Wakes up to complaints, wakes up to self-critical thoughts, wakes up to why me? Why did this happen to me? That has to change to why not me? It had to happen to somebody, so why not me? You get to that place. Had to happen to somebody. There's billions of people on the planet, and karma means something, somebody will fall, somebody will, have something. And you see, all these organs are just meant for certain diseases, really. Brain means there is dementia waiting in the wings. That's why there is brain, because the cells will combust themselves eventually. And then the dementia is something waiting to happen. Just because it hasn't happened, I mean, consider one. We can consider ourselves lucky that we are not there yet. Okay, that is how to see. Heart means it is waiting for an attack. Why else is there a heart? Yeah, it's waiting for an attack. Kidneys means it is waiting to fail. And liver means it will be full of toxins. Poor thing. Even though ironically it's supposed to detox everything. But then any medicine you take, any kind of prescription medicine will have as a what as a caveat. Check liver functioning. Keep checking the liver functioning. And then stomach is for upset. That's why the stomach is given. It's for upset. And the heart is for heart attack, and also heart has two functions. Heartburn also, acidity, heartburn, everything is there. Bones are there to become bone china, meaning subject to breaking. You just and these bone china cups, very nice. They are beautifully crafted, wonderful. But then you look at them and they crack. Oh, am I so powerful? No, that is so delicate. You just look at them and they crack. Same thing with the bones, osteoporosis, all these things. Oh, but there are medications for that. Yeah, take them and then keep checking the liver function. That's all. So this is the state of the body. This is the state of the mind. This is the state, and the sense organs don't even ask. And then there is, seeing difficulty, hearing difficulty. And then with COVID, after COVID, some people don't even gain their sense of smell. And so, like this, it is just, and then as one grows older, the taste buds, just die off. That's why one keeps a kilo of salt by the food and keeps on putting the salt because the taste buds are just, slowly on the wane. This is what Jarayanti Teja Indriyanam. So the teja, the sharpness of the indriyas keep going. The body keeps breaking up, breaking down. And so therefore, any kind of an happiness centered on the I, which is identified with the body, mind, sense complex, will soon turn into sorrow. Soon turn into sorrow. So there is a big difference between the sleeping person and then the awakened, pun intended, jnani. What is that? The jnani wakes up to complaints. Sorry. The ajnani wakes up to complaints, and the jnani is the same, sleeping or awakened, because one knows the truth of the self. And this is talked about in line 3. प्राक् संस्कारात् प्रसुप्तः. प्राक् प्रसुप्तः. संस्कारात् forget. Okay, for now. प्राक् प्रसुप्तः पुनरपि च परावृत्तिम् एति. Paravrittim means vapas aega. We'll come back to the state of difficulty, complaints, sorrow, tears, fears. Prak prasuptah. So the one that was asleep before, 8 hours before, 4 hours before, 3 hours before, or just a little nap, half an hour before, doesn't matter. When that person awakens, it is business as usual. No change at all. Awakens to complaints. In fact, it's the prarabdha that awakens the person. And Pujya Swamiji would always say this. Because of prarabdha. What kind of prarabdha? Good karma. Because of prarabdha, which is good karma. Sleep is good karma. People don't get sleep. And so, because of one is enjoying good karma in sleep, then that is the reason why one sleeps. And then how does one awaken? That same good karma which put you to sleep exhausts itself and turns into a karma of frenetic activity, and you wake up. Karma puts you to sleep. Karma wakes you up. That's why I don't wake up anybody who is sleeping. Because it's your good karma. Why not enjoy it? And Pujya Swamiji would always tell the story. I've shared it in some class. I don't know if it's this one. Uh, he would tell the story of an elderly Swami that was living in Rishikesh during his time in the 60s. And everybody loved this Mahatma. They used to go see him and be with him. He had terrible arthritis, could just but walk a few steps and would just sit there, see people, was always very cheerful. And then Pujya Swamiji noticed he was not eating. And then 1 or 2 days he brought his food for him. He stood in line and got two helpings and got it for the Mahatma. And he said, "Well, how come you're not, well, you're not eating? Oh, I can't walk anymore. Oh, but you have a student. Where is he? He's fast asleep." And every day he would be fast asleep. And he would tell, Pujya Swamiji told the Swamiji, you must wake him up. Let him, let him serve you. That's his job. But he's always asleep. And that Swami was so great. He would say, well, it's his good karma that's allowing him to sleep. Who am I to wake him up? And so all the other people used to take care of him. He says, I'm already being taken care of. You are bringing me food. The other neighbor is bringing me food. So it's okay. So, like this, karma puts you to sleep. What kind of karma? Good karma. So then good karma wakes you up. El Papa wakes you up. Papa karma wakes you up because otherwise, all this frenetic activity, etc., it cannot be good karma. That's not how we are supposed to lead our lives all the time rushing around. So we can say some kind of a neutral karma or Papa karma wakes you up. And so, prasuptaha, the one that was asleep before, so samskarat punarapi cha paravrittimeti. Paravrittimeti means has come back, keeps coming back. Punarapi. Punarapi means again and again. Think about the what's its name? The Bhajagovind. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam. So, punarapi jananam, again and again, birth, again and again, death, again and again, sleeping in the womb of the mother, repeatedly. This is exactly what it is. And the sleep and the waking cycle is a mini version of this birth, rebirth, etc. Same thing. Punarapi sleeping, punarapi waking, punarapi wanting, punarapi sleeping, punarapi waking, punarapi wanting. One good thing now is everybody knows the meaning of punarapi now. Yeah, now that it has been used in an English sentence. So uh, so samskarat punarapi cha paravrittim. Paravrittim means attains a return. Eti comes back. Comes back to what? What? From a world of belonging to a world of longing comes back. From a resolved world where he or she was just without any connection to anything, but at the same time belonging everywhere and with everything, back to a world of strife, sorrow, disappointment. This is the cycle for the one not initiated into Vedanta. This is the problem. Samskara here means samskar or the other. Okay. Yeah, because of some papa, the person, previous papas, etc., one wakes up. And then prabuddhaha, muktaha cha. Prabuddhaha should go with the fourth line. Prabuddhaha is in apposition with the word muktaha. Prabuddhaha muktaha. Yaha cha nashyat samskara jataha. That is also qualifying prabuddhaha. Yaha prabuddhaha. This is how that sentence should read. Yaha prabuddhaha muktascha nashyat samskara jataha saha kila na punaravartate. This is the Anvaya. This is the make the poetry into prose. So this is the prosaic understanding, and then it will become very clear. So yahacha muktaha, whereas the one who is free is prabuddhaha, not waking up. The person is not waking up. The person is awakened to the glory of one's own nature. Awakened to the glory of one's own nature. Then what? And what is the difference? First, let's see this. Nasakila, indeed, that person, the punaravartate, does not come back to a state of strife and seeking and wanting, at all. Why? The person is nashyat samskara jataha. Nashyat samskara jataha. So the for whom the person, this the for whom the samsara bija, the samsara bija in the form of sorrow, etc., and a life of becoming is not there. The bija of the samsara, the root cause of samsara, which is what? Self-ignorance. So, dagdha bijavat. So, it's like a roasted seed, good for eating and snacking, but not really good for reproducing. So, the samsara is like the seed of samsara is burnt up, roasted. How? Through the fire of self-knowledge. The fire of self-knowledge has roasted the seed of samsara, so much so that there is nothing to come back to. Nothing to return to. What will you return to? There is no return, because there is a resolution of all wants. And there is, because why is there a resolution of all wants? The gain of oneself as free and whole and happy and limitless. That is what the thing is. So then, so the person is prabuddha, prabodham jnanam praptah. So the one who has gained this knowledge, muktaha. Muktaha doesn't mean muktaha for 5 minutes has got moksha. Nirantaram muktaha san. न पुनरावर्तते आवृत्तिं न प्राप्नोति अयम अर्थः. And so this is the big difference. Both the jnani and the sleeping person are with sat. And let's make this even more interesting. The jnani sleeps and the sleeping person also is asleep. Both of them are one with sat. There is a oneness, there is a resolution. Those three conditions are fulfilled. There is sukhapti. Ajnani wakes up, comes back to a world of strife, sorrow, and activity. The Jnani wakes up and does not return to this kind of an activity. The sleep was as though, the waking was as though, because even while awake, for the Jnani, all the difficulties have already been resolved. Why? Through Atmajnana. Atmajnanam being there, there is no problem at all for the Jnani to be able to live a life of freedom and moksha. That is the idea. So nasyat samskara jatah, and nasakila punaravartate yah cha muktah prabuddhah. No need to come back to strife. No need to come back to a state of longing. Is the Ajnani away from Sat? Can we say that the Ajnani is away from Sat? No. With Sat, and the cause of feeling like one is away is why? Because one doesn't know that one is with the truth of oneself, with oneself completely, with the glory of oneself one doesn't know. So one turns into a seeker of Sat, even though one is Sat. This is the problem. For the Jnani, there is no seeking at all. So, this verse number 70 is the first verse which talks about the difference between Jnani and Ajnani. But then, what is this Ananda like? How this Ananda of the Jnani is different from my Ananda? Chocolate cake Ananda, movie Ananda, mall Ananda, and what else? Friend Ananda, going to wonderful places Ananda, and and then what? Sleep Ananda. How is it different from the kind of happinesses I experience? This is what is talked about in the next verse. Let us read. आनन्दान्यश्च सर्वान् अनुभवति नृपः सर्वसम्पत्समृद्धः तस्यानन्दः स एकः स खलु शतगुणः सम्प्रदिष्टः पितॄणाम् आदेव ब्रह्मलोकं शतशतगुणितास्ते यदन्तर्गताः स्युः ब्रह्मानन्दः स एकोऽस्ति अथ विषयसुखान्यस्य मात्रा भवन्ति. So this is the answer to the question. What is the difference between my ananda that I gain every day through my actions and through enjoying, so to speak, the results of the actions for which I have worked very hard, which supposedly the jnani enjoys for free? So, what is the difference between my ananda and the jnani's ananda? Please tell. And so, this is an answer to that. And the answer is in the form of a famous what is that called? Passages, famous passages in the Upanishads, occurring in two Upanishads. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4, 3, 32, 33. This is what it's based on. But the same theme we can also see in the Taittiriya Upanishad chapter 2, the portion on Ananda Mimamsa. Mimamsa means an analysis. Mimamsa. And in Vedanta, the analysis is always about me. That's why it's called Mimamsa, an analysis of me. So this is called Ananda Mimamsa. There is a section, a very elaborate section in the Taittiriya Upanishad. And there is a 1 or 2 mantra section, a kind of a condensed section conveying the same thing in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. 4, 3, 32, 33 is the citation. And so here what is happening? Here it's slightly different. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it goes straight away to an analysis of happiness. Gradations of happiness are analyzed, and it goes straight away to that. How does it do that? It says that it sets up one ideal typical unit of human happiness, and who is a young man and well rounded and strong, well read, mannerful, and what else? Has and extremely rich. Puts all these Bezos and what's that other one? Elon Musk and all to shame. Can't hold a candle, because it's as though iyam prithivi vittasya purna syat. So this, as though this rich earth with all the resources belong to him alone. This is one unit of human happiness. Tell me, how much more happy can you be? You can't. And so then if you think, oh my God, that's a lot of happiness, just do a little bit of arithmetic. Multiply that happiness by 100, and then you get the lower rung celestials and their happiness. The happiness of musical celestials, yaksha, kinnara, gandharva, etc. ते ये शतं मानुषा आनन्दाः स य एको गन्धर्वानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य. Then what? Then you get the idea. You multiply that one unit of Gandharva and these musical celestials who keep on singing and dancing, their happiness. Some of them paint also, I heard. So, celestials who are into fine art. And so, so all of them, you multiply their happiness by 100 again. And then you get certain, certain lower rung, what is that called? Ancestors. Ancestors that were good, but then they did a few bad things also. So lower rung ancestors, Ananda. Then you multiply that by 100, then you get the proper Pitruloka, the world of ancestors and mains, that Ananda. Then you multiply that by 100, and then you get the Karma Devananda. Who are these Karma Devas? Karmana Devanapi yanti. They propitiate the other devas with their service. Chai walas in heaven. Okay, so even they enjoy, hundreds of thousands time more ananda than you. Okay, even though they are bringing chai to other devas in heaven. What should I say? The one who gives Indra a mani and a pedi. This is the one. What is mani and pedi? Short for manicure and pedicure. Okay. So these are the karma devatas. They bring tea and they file the nails and put out their dresses. After all, Indra and all, they have to greet all the people. So they have a nice, they are kings. And so they have a person, a public persona. So these are karma devas. Then you multiply that by 100, then you get the Devananda, the celestial Ananda. Then you multiply that by 100, then you get one unit of Indrananda, Indra, the happiness enjoyed by Indra. Then you multiply that by 100. Oh, don't we stop here? No, no, no. Indra has a dada, a boss. Who is that? Brihaspater Ananda. So the teacher of Lord Indra, the Brihaspati. And then finally, you get to what is called Brahmaloka Ananda. The Ananda you get in going to Brahmaloka. One unit of Ananda you get in Brahmaloka. And then what's so special about Brahmaloka? First, it's very hard to reach. And second, you can come back if you don't have the knowledge. It's a place of study. It's where you go to study. And then, of course, then there will be a touch of regret sitting right in front of Lord Brahmaji. The teachings used to be streamed on Zoom. I didn't even have to go anywhere. Still, I wanted some kind of a heaven, and I have gone here, and here I am. There'll be a twinge of regret. More than a twinge, I assure you. And so, this way, this Ananda Mimamsa is set up in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and we'll read a little passage of that. And here it says 430 33 we'll see first, and then we'll go to 32. सयो मनुष्याणां राद्धः समृद्धो भवति अन्येषाम् अधिपतिः सर्वैः मानुष्यकैः भोगैः सम्पन्नात्मनः समनुष्याणां परमानन्दः. Here too one unit of human happiness is set up. Here a samrat is imagined. What is samrat? A king of kings, who is a powerful king with many principalities and many things. And then that person's Ananda is unrivaled. Off with his head, he says. And then somebody loses their life. I mean, imagine the power. And then he says, "Oh, I want so much money right now because I want to go shopping." And unlimited amounts of money is available. Not only is unlimited amounts of money available, but the discretion to do whatever he wants with it is also available. That's why King Ashoka is not very popular, in India. Even though we say, oh, the Ashoka Chakra, the peace wheel which he crafted is adorning the national flag in India, but still, and everybody sort of lauds him. But he's not accorded that much. What's its name? That much clout in the history lessons. Why? Because being moved by the ravages of war, he was like any other king. He just went off on a expansive spree and then annexed a lot of kingdoms. And there was, when he went to fight against the people of Kalinga, they set up a very big what should I say, resistance. And then after that, what happened? He toured the battlefield and found so many people just dead, bleeding, dying, and he had a transformation. Gave up his kingdom, gave up all the coffers, and became a bhikkhu. He became a Buddhist monk. He gave up everything. And so that is not something, people do often. But usually, when you say king, means the one who doesn't give up, who keeps on expanding and who keeps on wanting more, and then has the people. This is the difference between oneself and a king. The king has people, to a whole army and an entire kingdom to assure that all his or her desires are fulfilled. Whereas you just have yourself. You can't convince anyone to help you fulfill your desires. You are out on a limb on your own. But that is why it is a ideal, typical one unit of human ananda, because look at the king. I want this. Oh, but it's not the season right now. Go somewhere else and get it, wherever it is the season. Oh, but I might lose my life. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll send another person if that person loses the life in going through difficult terrains for some whimsical flower or fruit or something which the king wants. But the king has that dominion over people and has a whole army of people, literally, to be at his behest and call, at his beckoning, and then they all help him fulfill all the desires, and he can just relax. And other the tax, he lives at the taxpayer's expense. The king can relax, and then the royal family lives at the taxpayer's expense, and the people have to work hard and slog hard so that he just is there. And so that's why it is atha ye shata sa manushyanam paramananda. This is one unit of human ananda. And then atha ye shatam manushyanam anandaha. So multiply this by 100. It's very similar here in the Brihadaranyaka also. Sa ekaha pitranam jitalokanam anandaha. So this is the one unit of ancestral happiness, where all the ancestors have gone, and then you multiply that by 100. Ye shatam pitranam jitalokanam anandah saya eko gandharvalokanandah. Then you have one unit of the musical celestials happiness. अथ ये शतं गन्धर्वलोकानन्दः स एककर्मदेवानाम् आनन्दः. We have seen all this before. So this is then one unit of कर्मदेवा. ये कर्मणां देवां abhisampadyante, means they serve the devas with their karma. In the Taittiriya Upanishad also similar. Ye karmana devan apiyanti. Their apiyanti means they serve. Same thing here. Abhisampadyante. अथ ये शतं कर्मदेवानाम् आनन्दाः. Then स एक अजानदेवानाम् आनन्दः. And then this is how it goes. Yascha means all these anandas. In this analysis of all these anandas, we are forgetting a very big thing. What are we forgetting? That the same ananda enjoyed by the king, enjoyed by the Gandharvas, enjoyed by the Karmadevas, enjoyed by the ancestors, all of them are available For who? For the one who is aware of the truth of oneself. And yascha shrotriyah. Shrotriyah means how did this person come to gain the truth of oneself? Shrotriyah was educated and was taught properly. Went to a person who had studied from a sound lineage because of his teacher, who had studied because of her teacher, who had studied because of his teacher, all the way a lineage, a sound lineage that does not distort the words of the Upanishad. And then avrajinaha. Avrajinaha. Avrajinaha means a dharmic person free of papa. Avrajinaha. And one who has abstained from doing wrong things. One who is a very dharmic person. And why? And that dharmic person, being a dharmic person, goes very well with akamahataha. Don't say akamahata means, akamahataha doesn't mean kamena hataha. No, akamahataha means kamena nahataha, the one that is not hijacked by desires all the time. That person enjoys all these levels of ananda. That's why it's put right in the middle, because here the analysis, the mimamsa is not complete, but this person has made an appearance in the middle, because that this jnani is there sandwiched in between these mimamsas, because this jnani enjoys all the levels and gradations of happiness. Further, अथ ये शतम् अजानदेवानाम् आनन्दः स एकः प्रजापतिलोकानन्दः यश्च, again it's repeated, यश्च श्रोत्रियः अव्रजिनः अकामहतः. And then atha esha eva paramanandah. This alone is the ultimate ananda. What is the ultimate ananda? Brahmalokananda? Well, for the person who is desirous of going to Brahmaloka, it is a loka. For the jnani, Brahma prapti eva Brahmalokaha. Brahmaloka is right here, right now, in the form of the gain of Brahman as oneself. And so then, यश्च श्रोत्रियः अव्रजिनः अकामहत अथ एष एव परमानन्दः एष ब्रह्मलोकः सम्राट्. Not only the gain of Brahmaloka for this person is promised, but this person becomes the king of Brahmaloka. Why? Brahma is oneself. So one is Swarad, not just Virat, but Swarat, not just Samrat, but or Virat, but Swarat. The kingdom of the self being everything, is the ruler of the whole universe. And Yagyavalkya says that to King Janaka, iti hovacha Yagyavalkya. And this is a very beautiful piece, piece. But the same thing is there. And in the Taittiriya Upanishad also we have the same refrain. Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya. So you can't say akamena hataha, means dead or hijacked because of no desires. No. Kamena nahataha, not hijacked by desires. Such is the person. So there are certain conditions for the jnani. What are the conditions here in the Anandapti? There are certain conditions. What are the conditions? The first condition is that it is the person is well studied. Well studied, well read, well studied. Oh, so that means I just pick up and read the Upanishads? No. Shrotriyaha. It's a special kind of study where one commits to the teaching. After going to a teacher and saying, please rid me of my sorrow and my fear. Please give me this knowledge. And of course, it's the teacher's discretion to teach or not. The teacher can say, well, off with you, you don't look very serious. You don't look very serious. And in places like Kailas ashram, even today, there are tests. There are tests. Yeah, I'll teach you, no problem, will say the Acharya. Acharya there is called Mahamandaleshwar. So Mahamandaleshwar, it's they are as big personages as it sounds. And Mahamandaleshwar ji will say, okay, I'll teach you. When, Swamiji, when will you teach me? After you go to, and this Kailas ashram is in Uttarakashi. And after you go to Rameshwaram, which is in the southern tip of India, so take some Ganga water from here, go to Rameshwaram, bathe the Shivalinga. Oh, so I should make my flight booking. No, 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 pedal jao, go walking, walking. And then bring some ocean water from Rameshwaram and bathe our temple linga here, Shivalinga here. Just do that 3 times. Then I will teach you. And of course, they learnt this from the Upanishads because, there are such stories all the time. Indra and Virochana, his shadow, both of them resided in Lord Prajapati's ashram for 33 and a half years. Didn't even know to ask for the knowledge. They kept, they just kept looking around. And usually the student should go to the teacher here. Prajapati gets sick of seeing them every day. And then finally ask them, gentlemen, why are you here? What for are you here? You've been staying in the ashram for 33 years without so much as introducing yourself. And then they say, oh, Atma, Apahatapatma, I heard you say, and I want to understand how Atma is free of Papa, free of sorrow. That's why I'm here. Only Indra responds. And then in another story in the Chandogya Upanishad, also, then we hear of one young fellow, Satyakama, very urgently wanting to gain this knowledge. So truthful, so cute, young fellow. And he goes to his teacher, and the teacher gives him one cow and says, I'll teach you. After this cow turns into 400. And the teacher disappears from there. This is 400. Is she at least pregnant? Maybe I'll have two immediately. What is going on? I'm left with this one cow, and then it has to go to 400. All this is for the sake of preparation. For the sake of preparation alone, these tests are given, and then the teacher says, I will teach. So it's not easy to go to a guru and to submit to this knowledge and say, I want this, regardless of anything else, this is what I want the most, and then gain this knowledge. Plus, there may be some other obstacles here, there, so many things. Many a slip between cup and lip. So many things are there. And then, and then, so overcoming all the obstacles, finally one completes the length of study required to for this knowledge to abide. And then what? Usually it is 12 years of study, 12 years of intense study. And then after that, then one can call oneself Shrotriya. I have listened well. And then, so then, Shrotriya, and then Avrajinaha. The one for whom cutting corners, taking shortcuts, and riding roughshod over other people's desires and priorities, etc., is not an option anymore. And for the one who is not hijacked by desires. So, for such a person, that person enjoys all the levels, all the gradations of Ananda outlined in the Taittiriya and the Brihadaranyaka Upanishads, while just having a tree bark to cover oneself and sitting under a tree. That is, that extent of the contentment enjoyed, that incomparable contentment enjoyed, is because of the extent to which they have gone to gain this knowledge. They have honed their personalities, they have got rid of their ignorance, and then alone they have become ready for this. So more we'll see. next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.